You can make 100 calls a day, but if your list is garbage, you're wasting your time. Let me show you the exact framework that I use to build high quality lists so that you can set appointments with people you actually want to work with. Most producers think that they have an effort problem when really they're just working too hard on the wrong people. If the list isn't dialed in, it doesn't matter how many times you call, email, or show up, you're just spinning your wheels. What comes out on the other side? Accounts that are either too small, outside your niche, or just aren't people you want to work with in the first place. So, what makes a good list? I like the rule of thumb of 1200. It's 100x states every month. It's an idea I stole. It's not original, but it served me well. Part of the logic here is only about 3% of buyers are actually interested in talking about insurance. So you need a list long enough that you're going to be able to get enough qualified prospects out of your list. Now, after that, what are some of the measurables? I am looking for accounts that are going to meet my revenue thresholds, and I want them to be in classes of business that I know I have a competitive advantage. Basically, I want to get my list to a place where I know if I get in the door on anything in that list, one, it's something I'm going to want to work on. And then, secondly, I know I've got a competitive advantage. So I've got a high probability of winning and separating myself from the competition. After those tangibles, I'm looking at intangible qualities. I'm looking at things that are going to make somebody a customer I think is going to be a long term fit for me. I want people that are growth minded because growth minded people start businesses that grow into large businesses. And I like that. And also, people that are building businesses that grow tend to be less focused on cost. They want somebody that's going to grow with them. After that, I want somebody that's got their operational house in order. I want them to pay their bills on time because I'm not here to be a bill collector. I want them to be risk conscientious because I want them to be good customers for my companies. That makes it easier for me to keep them over the long term. And also, I want them to not be jerks. Jerks are not fun to work with. They burn out my team, they burn out my underwriters. It's just not a fun situation. And then lastly, I want them to value my expertise because if they don't think that I'm valuable, they're going to be dissatisfied with me over the long term. And that's just never a fun situation. Here's the data you need for every account in your list. You need to know the name of the organization because if you can't call them by their name, then what are you doing? You need to know their address so that you can do drop ins, so that you can do mailers. You also need to know the name of the decision maker because you need to know who can actually buy your product. If you don't know that, you really don't have anything. And unfortunately, that is really difficult information to come by. Sometimes you can buy that in a list, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes the only way to get it is to call in. And also, it's really helpful to have the expiration date because you need to hit people in their buying cycle. With insurance, people buy their insurance mostly on renewal date. Insurance companies know that, buyers know that. So, what you need to figure out is their buying cycle. Once I have the basic information for the account, now I'm looking for additional data that's going to help me determine if the organization is going to meet my revenue thresholds. And so, there's a couple of key pieces of information that help me make that determination. First, the revenue of the organization. Larger revenue means they're going to pay more for insurance. I'm going to look for number of employees for similar reasons. If they have more employees, they're going to pay more for insurance. And then after that, I'm going to be looking for number of vehicles if I can find it. I'm going to look for assets because if they own buildings, they're going to have to pay for insurance. And then I'm also going to look, and if I can get access to their experience mod, that's going to help me out. And also, if they have to be inspected by public entities, I'm going to go look at their license. So for childcare, the number of kids that they are licensed for is public data. You have similar things with senior care, but you also have trucking risks where it's going to be published how many power units they have. So if you can dig into that type of criteria, you're going to be able to quickly determine whether the organization is large enough for you to want to work on it. It's great to say that we need all this information about our prospects, but where do we actually go to find it? I'm going to list out some of the resources that I use to build out my lists. I use Insurance X State. That helps me figure out expiration dates. It may or may not work in your state. I'm in Maryland, it works in Maryland. I also use Dun and Bradstreet Hoovers. I find that helps me identify more decision makers and revenue and number of employees. I wish I had Zoom info, but I'm just one guy. I can't afford it, but I've heard great things about it. I do use LinkedIn a lot for identifying decision makers within organizations. And in an ideal world, I think I could use that and cross reference it with Apollo IO to scrape the internet to get even more detailed information. I've just not gotten that savvy, but it is a resource that I know people use. I use GuideStar for my nonprofit accounts. That helps me identify revenue and assets very quickly. And I'm always looking at public data as an information source. Licenses and license inspections are awesome for my human service accounts. What makes your list incredibly powerful, though, is nothing that you're going to be able to find online, on websites, or any type of public data. It's going to be information that you have gleaned that nobody else has access to. Sometimes the only way to get the decision maker is to call in and get their name and to get their email address, or to talk to the office manager and figure out who's actually going to be part of the decision making process. And then to have conversations and learn about the people that you're talking with and get a sense of their personality. Remember, a large part of building a great list is identifying people you actually want to work with. And a lot of those characteristics are intangible. If we're really going to say we want to know jerk rule, then you need to know who are jerks and get them out of your list. And the same token, you want to identify who the growth minded people are so that you can pursue them relentlessly. So, to put a bow on it, there's no way to buy a perfect list. And honestly, the way to have a real competitive advantage over your peers is to have a list that you have curated over time from calling, dropping in, and emailing these organizations and these people so that one, you have name recognition, but also you have data that nobody else can have. To put a wrap on all this, your pipeline is your list multiplied by your effort. And unfortunately, your list is going to take some effort too. But if you can go through and be diligent with who you are trying to contact and really think about it strategically, you'll find that the results on the other end and what you have in your pipeline are going to be much better. It's going to be larger, they're going to be better qualified, and they're going to be much closer to ideal prospects for you. All right, thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, hit like and subscribe. It helps other people like you find the content. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. If you want to contact me, my contact information is at my website, insuranceforentrepreneurs.net. Thank you so much for watching, and please go build something great.